So I've observed an odd phenomenon, and that is that it's like we think we've spent more than we actually spent because we've talked about spending it, but we didn't actually spend it on the war in Ukraine. So nearly half, this is an article yesterday, nearly half of Americans think that the U.S. is spending too much on Ukraine aid, an AP poll says. Now, if you go into it, about 45% say the U.S. government is spending too much on aid to Ukraine in the war against Russia compared to 52%. So the numbers actually dropped in October. In October, we were talking about the spending bills, and we haven't been recently, so the numbers come down. That shift appears to come mostly from Republicans. 59% now say too much is spent on Ukraine aid, but that is down from 69% in October. And so, again, that number has dropped because we're not talking about it so much. The White House has been repeatedly pressing lawmakers to pass Biden's nearly $106 billion emergency spending package that he proposed in October, which includes more than $61 billion specifically for the war in Ukraine. Okay, and the article goes on and on. But as I was thinking about this, I was thinking, like, people have these crazy inflated amounts of what we've actually spent. Do we want to spend on Ukraine? I didn't want to spend to have my hot water heater put in again because it broke. But this is part of life. You have to spend on things that you don't necessarily want to spend on. And this is an important thing for us to be spending on. It's an important priority. Now, here is 7 months ago, the inflated figure that you're going to hear from U.S. Senator from Ohio, J.D. Vance, talking about it. I'm just going to play about 10 seconds of him talking to Tucker Carlson when Tucker Carlson was still on his program. And listen to the numbers that he gives and his rationale.
$113 billion, probably more than that, Tucker, probably more like $130 billion.
And that was 7 months ago when this happened, or when this interview actually took place.
Dollars to the most corrupt country on the face of the planet, and we have...
Wait a minute, we're giving to Somalia? I didn't think we were giving to Somalia. Syria, South Sudan, Venezuela? No. This is the corruption index, and Ukraine's way up here at position 116. Now, they're no Boy Scouts, but that's not hardly what you'd consider the most corrupt country on the planet. Okay, let's look at something else. So, how much has the United States actually spent on Ukraine? In this clip from a video from the Kyiv Post, I'm going to talk about that, and we're going to see what the numbers are. Are they 40 billion? Are they 150 billion? What are the true numbers? This is an excellent interview with Jason Smart and a former Russian economist who worked with Putin talking about this very thing.
So, as an accomplished economist, you've been studying the data about U.S. support for Ukraine, and you've made the argument that the U.S. could be doing far more than what it's already done. And even the data that the U.S. has put out, or the numbers that are often cited, are incorrect. Tell me about that a little bit.
Right. This is a very painful issue for the United States and for the discussions concerning the U.S. military aid to Ukraine. Because United States politicians and experts and kind of commentators prefer to use some fantastic numbers that do not have any relations with reality. So we need to look into three most important levels of U.S. military aid. The first of all, appropriation by the U.S. Congress. Any military aid that is going to be provided to Ukraine should be adopted by the U.S. Congress. The total amount of U.S. military aid for two financial years, year 2002 and year 2003, is $48 billion. This is a maximum level that can be provided legally from the United States to Ukraine within two fiscal years. Second level is, so it's not hundreds of billion US dollars. Some even presidential candidates in the United States are mentioning hundreds or $100 billion US dollars.
And you get these funny numbers that are getting kicked around, and I've seen $150 billion and things like that. It's not that. But again, you got to look at the source that's saying that, and then somebody will say it, and then others will just parrot that source, and it takes on a life of its own.
Far from reality. But the second level is commitment by the executive level, by U.S. administration. So we know now the total commitment of the current administration from U.S. military aid to Ukraine is 44.5 billion US dollars. And next, third level, the physical delivery of military aid to Ukraine up to date. As of morning of this day, I checked it. The total U.S. military aid physically delivered to the territory of Ukraine from the United States is 20.2 billion US dollars. So that is why this is a total.
And that's because things are in the pipeline still. They're not actually getting through. That they have to get there physically. So that's the third number.
Amount that has been physically reached the Ukrainian territory since the war is going for more than 20 months. So it's easily to calculate that on average it is about $1 billion a month. But it was in the first 18 months, but now over the last couple of months, it is around 200 million US dollar a month. So it's a reduction by 80% compared to the average monthly level in the first 18 months of this war. Just to put it in comparison, the United States provided, for example, United Kingdom in the Second World War military aid at the level 40 billion US dollar a month. So it reached 40 times more than to Ukraine in this current war. And definitely United Kingdom was much stronger and had much more serious military potential and was able to resist Nazi aggression against United Kingdom much well than Ukraine can do it against Russia.
Okay, so tell me what you think. I think this is really important to understand. Put your comments below. Thank you for your time, the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and the coffees, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.